Bigger is better. A wise old bloke once told me bigger is better. Now at the time, I thought he was talking about the size of his paycheck or his bank balance. I mean, I was younger and impressionable, but isn't that what he would have been referring to? In any case, he could have preemptively been talking about the fact that one day I would drive this, the Ram 1500. And the guys at Ram Trucks Australia are trying to tell us that bigger is better, because think of the dual cab utes that you know, Ford Ranger, Toyota HiLux, those kinds of things. This Ram 1500 dwarfs them. It's way bigger in every sense. So let's try to find out why you need a bigger dual cab ute in your life. The 5.7 litre Hemi V8 engine makes 291 kilowatts and 556 newton metres. There will be a diesel engine coming at the end of the year, a 3 litre V6. There are two axle ratios available for the Laramie, 3.21 rear gearing, which will tow up to 3.5 tonnes, and 3.92 rear gearing, which will tow up to 4.5 tonnes. The entry-level Ram 1500 Express grade can be had from $79,950 drive away. That compares to Ranger Raptor, $75,000, and the Volkswagen Amarok TDI 550 Ultimate, $69,000, or the range-topping V6 X-Class Mercedes-Benz Power, $74,000. You'll hear me talking plenty about the drive experience and the front of the cabin, but the big difference with the Ram 1500 is back here in the second row. First things first, that's my driving position. Look how much room I've got. I can even stretch my legs out because they fit underneath the seat. I've got headroom, plenty of headroom here. These are comfortable seats. The backrest goes back on an angle so you're not sitting upright like you would in a traditional dual cab, which is the malaise of plenty of dual cabs that we test. The back seat just isn't really that comfortable. In addition to that, you get cup holders down here, you get two cup holders in the fold-out armrest here, you've got air conditioning vents, a 12-volt socket, and you've got heated seats in the back. So heated and cooled up front, but heated in the back. There's no doubt about it that this is just way more comfortable for occupants, kids, family members, whoever it is that's riding in the back seat than any other dual cab ute on the market. If you'll pardon the pun, the big story about the Ram 1500 is space, and therefore how big it is. You first get a sense of that from the driver's seat. There's a couple of things to mention here. First of all, we get an Australian specific instrumentation panel, so it's all obviously not in miles, it's in kilometres, the metric system. The right-hand drive conversion is excellent. The presentation, dashboard, quality of the fit and finish, stitching, all that kind of stuff. There's no rattles, no weird loose pieces of plastic or trim. It's really well put together. You get the third generation of the Uconnect system, which has always been quite good. We've been a fan of how that works across a whole range of FCA product. It works really well here. What I like that's clever about it, you get two USB inputs here in the center console, which cater for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But beyond that, you can switch the priority between one or two, so that you can have two phones, two separate phones connected, and switch between them. Now, it's one thing to provide Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but there's a few other factors. It needs to work, that's number one. It does work really well in this system. The native system, I think, also needs to be good, which this one is. And the reason I say it needs to be good is because not everybody's going to want to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So the Uconnect system is really good. And then the third factor for me, provide the system and then give us nowhere to store our phones. This has got really clever shelved storage here that you sit the phone in. It's got room for the cable to come out underneath it, and the cable then plugs into the console there. So in terms of the native system, the integration with smartphones, and the way that you store it all and use it, this thing is top shelf. And everything we've just looked at brings us to this: whether this Ram 1500 is worthy of your consideration. And I have to tell you, if you're going to tow, if you're going to do any long distance touring, if you use your dual cab ute as a default family vehicle, so that means you use the second row often, and crucially, if you've got the room to park it, because physically this is a big thing, you absolutely need to have a look at the Ram 1500. I think after a day of driving it, you can't argue that it's anything other than incredibly good value for money up against the other dual cabs with what they cost. There's no doubt about the fact that this Ram should absolutely be in the consideration set. And to be honest with you, I'm really, really impressed with how this right-hand drive conversion up to manufacturer standards translates onto Australian roads.